Yep. Hello. I think Alan was right on the that's fine. On the insurance side, cladding contractor PI is monumental. So, one of our biggest cladding contractors before Grenfell, their PI insurance was about 15 grand. It's now about 400 grand. And you think about how much work you have to do to cover that insurance cost is unbelievable. I think the biggest thing about insurance is actually the buildings themselves. Unbelievably, to insure Grenfell Tower, for Kensington Council, was about £13,500 for the year. And you think of the cost that would cost the insurers and everyone else to bring that, if they are going to demolish that tower, which I think they are, £13,500 isn't anywhere near enough to cover that. So what you're finding now is, if you do own a high-rise or any particular building, sports venue, residential, all these premier inns which are going up, the premiums are going to be astronomical. And what you will also find, if you do currently insure a property, if you get an insurance survey, the first thing they'll ask for is what is the core of that panelling if you've got cladding on that building. A lot of people had this done 15, 20 years ago. No one knows, apart from the people who did the cladding at the start, but obviously they're probably gone bust or they don't exist anymore. So I think one thing you've really got to factor in when you are insuring a building with cladding is try and find out that core, and the main thing is your premium is going to go through the roof. But yeah, I think also what Alan said about the PI insurance, if you are any contractor, whether you're a ground worker, whether you're a catering contractor, or whatever it may be, you've got PI, you will have a cladding contractor's exclusion on all policies. It's just an insurance company's way of getting out of paying a claim. Just like all other insurances, you'll find if you buy insurance commercially, you'll have a COVID-19 exclusion there or an infectious disease exclusion. If there's an issue, the first thing who run a mile are insurance companies. So we are the bearer of bad news, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's it really, insurance-wise. Never good news with insurance.
Thank you very much. Have we got any questions at all for Michael or for Alan? Is there any questions at all? Yeah.
Thank you. I've had a few transactions this year held up as a result of buyers, insurers requiring exactly the sort of information that you're talking about, core samples and things. And these are for single-storey commercial buildings rather than high-rise residential. And you're exactly right, nobody has a clue what product they've got cladding their buildings. What can a property investor do when they're preparing a property for sale to just sort of head that off at the pass? Have they got to do those core samples, or is there something else they can do to get the information they need to put the buildings insurers at ease?
Not really. It all depends on the insurer, really. Some insurers are more lenient than the others. What you are finding is that insurers, if they're not happy, they'll put increased terms on there, or flat decline, say, we're not covering it. What we are finding is, insurers, for example, let's just use QBE, for example, who are a large insurer. If they did a building before Grenfell, they said, right, we'll insure the building, but we're going to insure half of it, you need to go and find another insurance company to do the other half. So two insurance companies insuring the same risk, so they're sharing the pot. In answer to your question, no.
Yeah, I've experienced both refusal to insure and putting extremely high premiums on. Which
one of our big property owners are, they obviously have a lot of money and they insure a lot of buildings, and a lot of buildings to insure, but some of them disregard that completely. You're only going to get caught out if an insurance company turns up and basically does all their thorough checks and says we need to know what the core is. A lot of insurance companies won't ask the question. So you got off lightly, I expect, if you do have that.
Yeah, I don't think in any, sorry, I'm monopolising, I don't think in any of the transactions I've been involved in, the insurers have been down to the property to investigate. They have just asked, is the cladding approved by the loss adjuster board? I can't remember the acronym. And of course, nobody knows what product is on a retail park or...
Excellent. So you've got a lot of insurance companies that will insure low-value buildings. The larger insurance companies will insure the rebuilds of 2, 3, 4, 5 and above £1 million. That's when more likely they're going to go, right, we want to come out and see this and we want to do. The worst thing is when you see an exposed panel, so above a door where it may be, and insurance surveyors are the most dullest people in the world. But they'll find an issue very, very quickly, and you know it's going to cost you a lot of money. Worst case scenario, if the surveyor does come out and go, we're not happy with that call, they can come off cover. They can give you notice to come off cover. Very rare. I've only seen it a couple of times, but yeah, it's an expensive job. Sorry. Oh no, another one. Go on, go for it.
Just a couple of observations, really.
Yeah.
One is that I surmise at times it's not just the fact that the cladding itself, but it's lack of fire stopping and that sort of thing, which is a big issue.
Yeah.
I've got a pal and his daughter is looking at buying a flat in Imperial Apartments, which is just round the corner from Ocean Village.
Yeah.
And that's the 1920s extension of the original southwestern house, built in about 1920, steel frame, ashlar stone cladding. So, okay, the stonework isn't going to go up in flames, but what's the fire stopping like?
It's all down to the fire consultant, I can imagine. Alan could probably tell you a bit more than that than I can. With the insurance side of it, the insurance companies are worried about two things: fire and the building being destroyed, and obviously having to pay out loads of money. Because of fire stops and things like that, that's more for the fire authority and the consultants to sign off and close up. If the insurance company aren't happy with it, they'll comment on it. But yeah, that's all fire regulations and things like that.
And the other thing I was going to say is, I hear that one of the issues with EWS1 surveyor inspections is all the holes they're leaving in all the cladding.
But exposed cores? Yeah. Don't show the insurance company exposed core. No, you're not hiding from nothing. Yeah.
Thank you ever so much. Right, we're going to quickly change over, but if you can bear with us, or we'll make an announcement for anybody else to come and join us. So just bear with me a second.